welcome back. As promised, here we go. The Arizona Coyotes reached a 10-game winless streak yesterday, which means it is time for a video to look at the 10-game losing streak or winless streak, since technically 9 of them are in regulation, one of those losses in overtime. So they did get a point in that game, but let's talk about it. So before the streak, they looked pretty good. 23-19-3, 135 goals scored, 132 goals allowed. So positive goal differential, positive record. Their power play was clicking at 23%. Penalty kill, 79.6%. Not great, but honestly, 79.6 isn't awful. Their shots, they were getting 27.1 shots per game and allowing 31.2 shots against per game. Connor Ingram was stealing them games. He absolutely was. And they were 2 points behind Nashville for the second wildcard spot. Now, well, Nashville's out of that second wildcard spot. St. Louis has it, and the Coyotes are 10 points back of that playoff spot. So the playoffs have definitely faded as a result of this 10-game losing streak, which is kind of how that works. So it started with a loss against the Florida Panthers, and you will notice a lot of these are against playoff teams. In fact, I didn't put the asterisks next to playoff teams. Let's go ahead and do that. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so the only two teams they've played that aren't above the playoff line are Minnesota and Nashville. They're pretty good. So, yeah, they haven't really had a bad opponent through this whole run. So, Florida, it starts with a loss, 6-2. They trailed 6-0 in the third. They then got goals from Gunther and Cooley. Vejmelka saved 36 out of 42 in that game. The good news kind of seems to be that Ingram being hurt right now, it feels like Vejmelka's playing a little better than what he was to start the year. But the second game in this losing streak, they lost 6-3 against Tampa. And again, there's no shame in losing against Tampa. They trailed 5-2 after 2. The goals in that game came from Keller, Dursey, and Krause. Connor Ingram saved 31 out of 37 that night. They lost 3-1 in their next game against Carolina. This is the new valley of death here, is Florida, Tampa, Carolina. When you see that as an upcoming road trip for a team you're cheering for, get ready for some losses. So they lost that one 3-1. They did lead 1-0 after 1. The only goal they had in that game was from Logan Cooley, so he had 2 goals in 3 games during this streak. He hasn't been producing at that rate, but Cooley's been pretty good, and there's some good news with this streak even. So Ingram saved 36 out of 39 that night. Then they lost 3-2 against Vegas, so you go to your defending Stanley Cup champions after that. And they trailed 3-1 after 1 and just didn't find the ability to come back in that one. Goals in that game came from Zucker as well as Keller. Ingram saved 3 out of 6, and then Vejmelka saved all 28 in relief. So Vejmelka had a pretty good night in relief. Then they lost against Nashville 5-4 in overtime. They led 4-2 in the third. So this was one of those falling apart kind of games, and there's been a few of those for Arizona, including last night. We'll get to last night. The goals in the game against Nashville came from Dermott, Valimaki, Gunther, and Schmaltz. Ingram saved 32 out of 37 that night. Then against the Philadelphia Flyers, they lost 5-3. They also led in that game. They led 3-2 after the second period. Goals in that game from Dumba, Michelli, as well as Kerfoot. Vejmelka saved 29 out of 33 in that one. They lost 3-1 against the Minnesota Wild. They trailed 2-0 after 2. Logan Cooley with the goal in that one. Ingram saved 28 out of 30. Nope, Vejmelka saved 28 out of 30. And Ingram saved 12 out of 13. Not that it really matters a whole lot. Yeah, I'll use this marker. I made this last night, and I was like, all right, cool, I got that all done. Well, here we are. Nope. But yeah, they lost 5-1 then against Carolina, so the Canes show up twice. They trailed that one 2-1 after 2. The only goal in that game coming from Dylan Gunther. Vejmelka saved 21 out of 26, and Villalta in relief saved all 4 shots. Perfect save percentage. Didn't last into very long into that game last night, though. Then they lose against Colorado 4-3. They led that one 2-1 after 1. So they led in this one. They led in this one. There's been some leads. They led here. So, I mean, that's got to be encouraging. They just have to lock these leads down. So the goals in that one came from Dumba, Krause, and Cooley. Vejmelka saved 33 out of 37. And then last night they lost 6-3 against the Edmonton Oilers. They led 3-2 after 2, and then the Oilers just destroyed them in that third period. They led 3-2, as I said. Bukestad had 2 of the goals. Keller had the other one. Villalta thrown to the Wolves, 20 saves on 25 shots. And so, yeah, for the Arizona Coyotes, it's a 10-game losing streak. How long is it going to go on? We'll see. I didn't put their upcoming schedule up there. I felt like the 10-game losing streak says a lot. And then looking at how the players have performed during this. So Clayton Keller's almost a point per game throughout this. 3 goals, 6 assists, 9 points. Gunther, 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points. Gunther, of course, a huge part of the future on this team, as is Logan Cooley, who's had 4 goals and an assist. So that, I think, is the encouraging thing, is that your top 3, you've got Keller, who's your franchise player, and you've got Gunther and Cooley, who are going to be part of that top 6 for a long time. Michelli with a goal and 4 assists, shoot the puck. Zucker with a goal and 4 assists, very likely to be on his way out, and we'll talk about that. Dumba, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points in 7 games. Dumba offensively has looked lost through a lot of his time in Arizona. It feels like the offense has started to show up, and the 4 points in 7 games seems to back that up. Schmaltz with a goal and 3 assists. Schmaltz not producing the way you'd want him to. Kerfoot, a goal and 3 assists. Kerfoot's been good for them, but again, you probably want more production. Mosier with 4 assists in 10 games. Krause, 2 goals and an assist. Lawson Krause is fantastic, even when he's not producing. He's a big physical player, and he's a lot of fun to watch. He is one of the throwback power forwards in the NHL these days. Valimaki with a goal and 2 assists. McBain has 3 assists. Bukestad 2 goals during this period. Of course, both of those in last night's game against the Oilers, so he'd gone without a point during the losing streak before that. Dermott, a goal and an assist, but just the 7 games played. He didn't play last night. Dursey, a goal and an assist, 2 points in 10 games. That's not very Dursey-like numbers. There's been speculation about how long Dursey's going to be a member of the Coyotes, but again, he's capable of better than that. Barrett Hayden, just the 1 assist in 7 games during this losing streak. They were messing around with the lines last night. They had Hayden up on the top line with Keller. They're clearly trying to get him going. Kesselring, 1 assist in 10 games. Depending on the game, Kesselring can look like a really effective player. Other games, not quite so much. Josh Brown, 1 assist in the 5 games he's played. Soderstrom, just the 1 game played during this run. Ruzicka, 3 games played, no points. O'Brien, 4 games played, no points. And Carcone, 6 games played, no points for Carcone. The start of the year, Carcone was definitely producing at a rate none of us had expected, and it's more understandable that he struggled lately. He was a healthy scratch last night against the Oilers. Vamelka over this run, 0-4, 888 save percentage. Obviously, that's not an optimal save percentage. It's better than what Ingram's was, though. 0-4-1 with an 872 save percentage at the time of the injury. Villalta, 0-1 with an 828 save percentage. Again, against Edmonton, that's what will happen to your save percentage. They've been outscored 46-23, so exactly a 2-1 scoring ratio against them. Their power play, 15.2%, well down from that 23%. Their penalty kill, 77.8%, not that different from the 79.6% it was before this losing streak. The shots, they're getting 25.2 per game, so about 2 less shots per game, allowing 35.9 shots per game, so allowing almost 5 more shots per game than average. But look at the teams they're against. Carolina, very well known for suppressing shot totals against. Florida, playing some of the best hockey in the league right now. Philadelphia makes you work for every single shot. So it makes sense that their shot totals have gone in the other direction when you look at some of these opponents. Their cap space, they have lots of it. $9,517,517. That being straight from Cap Friendly. Again, last night, being from Cap Friendly. They have a lot of draft picks. A lot. And it'll be interesting to see what they do and if they keep all these draft picks in upcoming years. But this year, outside of their own first-round pick, and they have their own first-round pick throughout, they have 3 second-round picks, 3 third-round picks, and 2 fourth-round picks. So do they need to add draft picks at the deadline? I don't think they need to. Do I think they will? Probably. 2025, they have 4 second-round picks and 2 third-round picks, and in 2026, 3 second-round picks and 2 third-round picks. One thing about having all those extra picks means you have extra picks in the lottery that is the draft. So you have, of course, the draft lottery for those top spots. But the draft as it stands is really kind of a lottery anyways, where you're kind of betting on which guys are going to end up being NHLers. The more lottery picks you have, meaning the more draft picks you have, the better chance you have that they're going to turn out. And that the ones that don't turn out, you won't see as much focus on them as you otherwise might. So they've had a lot of prospects. There's still a lot of prospects that haven't come up yet to play for Arizona. So we're going to see more guys coming in. The question then becomes one of, so what will the Arizona Coyotes look like 4 or 5 years from now? And that's without even getting into the uncertainty about the arena and everything. That's a whole other storyline. I'm just talking about the on-ice product. The on-ice product, what are they going to look like in a few years? And obviously that's going to in some way be tied to what's going on with arena situations, but you can't just rebuild forever. They're unrestricted free agents for this year. Zucker just signed the 1-year deal, so odds are he probably gets moved at the deadline. Dumba, do they keep Dumba? Do they trade Dumba? Brown, Dermott, Stetcher, and O'Brien. Of course, Stetcher hasn't played. He's on long-term injured reserve and all that. So I don't know that they're necessarily going to be renting guys out at the deadline. Doesn't mean they're not going to be making trades at the deadline. So we'll see. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. I do think that with this 10-game losing streak, it's freed up Bill Armstrong now to do a lot of moves if he wants to. They're not in the playoff hunt at this point, so if he decides to sell off, if he decides to make some big moves, I think fans will be okay with that and support it. Let me know your thoughts. Do hit like and subscribe in the event you have not done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.